Billy Carson's been debunked. Wess Huff debunked him. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Let me put my 2 cents in here. I watched the 3-hour-long podcast that you all told me about, telling me that Billy Carson was debunked. It's not true. He didn't debunk what Billy Carson said. He simply said that the books where Billy was getting his information aren't real. So you tell me why someone has to push their indoctrination on us and tell us what books we can believe or not believe in. I personally resonate with what I read. If I don't resonate with it, then I leave it aside. But no one is to tell me what I can believe and not believe in. And I'm going to address the book of Mary Magdalene that this guy had the audacity to say wasn't real, wasn't legitimate. He doesn't know. And even if they want to say that, who wants to say that? The same people that plagiarize the Sumerian scriptures to create their Bible, dumb it down, twist things around to fit their narrative, to indoctrinate us and control the masses? Those same people are telling us that these other books aren't real? Well, I'm sorry. I believe in these other books, and you are nothing mixed with nobody to tell us what we can and cannot read and what's real and not real. Now, on the other hand, there are some points that he made that I do agree with him. Another thing that has to be debunked, Billy Carson did not walk off like he was humbled or humiliated like you all want to try to twist it around. I watched the entire thing. More than once he was like, in 15 minutes I gotta go, in 10 minutes I gotta go, in 5 minutes I gotta go. And the guy that hosted the podcast himself said he had a prior engagement at 1 or 1:30. It was already a thing. And they were running late. It was very long, because he kept on repeating himself and nitpicking about the books where we're getting our information from, which is not his place if you ask me. But right now, I'm here to talk about the book of Mary Magdalene, because he says it doesn't count, it's not real. Yeah, sorry, you're not going to tell me what is real or not real. So let's get into it. Another thing I'd like to know, why is it always men debating? I'm the only female in this settore, call it as you may. Everybody else is a man. There are no other women like me that do this extensive research. I would have put him in his place right away. I'm Gen X, I'm Italian, yeah, no. At the same time, I have to say that Billy Carson looked very tired. He wasn't talking properly, to the point where I said to myself, I could have handled that so much better. And that scared me, because I thought a lot of him and I was kind of disappointed. But again, he thought he was going to a regular podcast and then, to chat between friends. And then Huff starts giving him like an interrogation. Summarize the Enuma Elish for me. Excuse you? What? Does he look like he has his notes? Yeah. It's one thing telling the shortened version of the story. It's another thing what he was doing. He was on a mission to debunk him. I don't know if he was paid to not know things or if he was just tired. Nevertheless, let's get into Mary Magdalene, because that's my cup of tea and I want to talk about it. Despite the short length of the book of Mary Magdalene, it gives us a look into the form of Christianity that was forgotten for a very long time. This short account presents a different perspective of the teachings of Jesus. The book of Mary Magdalene, it's more about acquiring spiritual knowledge. It's a spiritual journey and development. And it rejects the idea that Christ's eternal suffering and death were a way to eternal life. But most of all, it proves that the story of Mary Magdalene being a harlot, was absolutely made up. It argues that women can be leaders, which is very rare in the early Christian writings. It criticizes corrupt authority, and it pushes for a world of spiritual enlightenment. In the first 200 to 300 years of early Christianity, these populations didn't even communicate between one little town and another, so they weren't talking to each other, and they also weren't learning the same teachings. Churches often had different perspectives on the key aspects of Christianity, both about the doctrine and practice. It touches topics like the authority of prophets, the topic of owning women or slaves, the meaning and substance of Jesus' teachings, and it's crucial to keep in mind that the first Christians did not even have the Old Testament. The Nicene Creed, or the Apostles' Creed, a universal agreed upon church order. None of this had one single view of how Jesus was on anything. And the elements that you might think are indispensable to define Christianity were non-existent at this time. So the Nicene Creed and the New Testament were the product of these arguments, or to better say, debates and disputes. In fact, early Christian literature reflects all of these controversies. Some of the first early Christian documents was the Gospel of Paul, right here. And it says that it shows significant differences of opinion existing regarding issues such as things regarding Jesus. These and other contentious topics, such as whether the resurrection was a physical or a spiritual matter, sparked theology debates, caused division within the Christian community itself. So by the time the Gospel of Mary was found, these conversations were being polarized. And as we know, history is always written by the victor. So in the context of early Christianity, this meant that many voices were silenced through suppression or neglect. The Gospel of Mary is just as credible as any other gospel, along with a lot of other recently unearthed gospels in documentation that we found. It just doesn't fit the narrative of early Christianity, and it confusing our potential of understanding these stories, because they contradict themselves constantly. So the objective of the book of Mary Magdalene, for me, is that the 21st century readers get to hear what she had to say, that for too long was suppressed. Was Mary Magdalene the wife of Jesus? It is possible. It is very possible. It could be so.